Today's review is a double header. Yep, we've got two beers here from Polly's. They may look the same, but they're not. They're different. But what they're going to be like, keep watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today we're doing a sort of face-off, a sort of double header really. So I've got these two beers here, and no, you're not seeing double. You're not drinking two of the same beer, you know. And when it comes to seeing double, a lot of people are saying that I look like Paul Merson, ex-Arsenal pundit, professional gambler, I suppose you could say. And that's also you're not seeing double there. But this is double the trouble. So this is Strata and Citra. In fact, I don't even know. This one's Strata. Let's just show you to the camera. There's Strata. And this one's Citra. So we've got Citra and Strata, pure pale ales, single hopped pale ales. But what they're going to be like? What's the difference? I mean, Citra, we've had loads of Citra. And Strata, we get it more and more, but we don't usually get it on its own. So let's get these beers into a glass. I'm so excited about drinking them because I'm really looking forward to seeing what the difference is. To really analyse the Strata and the Citra. I mean, I don't think we need to really analyse Citra because we know what that's like. But I'm going to put the Citra in the Polly's glass. And I'll put the Strata in the Premier Hop glass that I've got because it's a similar sort of size and shape glass. So, and colour-wise, they're looking very similar. This one's a little bit more livelier. There we go. So, beers in a glass. You can see here that the Citra one's got definitely a much more of a sort of custardy sort of colour. There's definitely, I mean, the light, I've got to admit, I'm done doing this late and the light is bad. I've got some lights on it, but it's not really, doesn't really do it justice. But this one you can see much more custardy, much more basically how I like my beers. The Strata one is not as hazy and it's got more of a sort of darker orange sort of colour to it. So let's see what the aroma's like. Citra first. Yeah, unmistakably Citra hop. All those sort of citrus fruits really. I mean, hence why it's called Citra hop. There's some earthiness in this, but you're getting lots of lemon, lime, grapefruit. It smells really good. I'm really a big fan of Citra hop, and I'm think, you know, the world is in terms of, you know, craft beer because it is in lots of beers. So let's see what the Strata smells like. See, the Strata's got this more, if anything, it's less sort of bright and citrusy. It's a little bit more danker, a little bit more sweatier, a little bit more earthier, I suppose, the aroma. You're picking up more of the sort of a little bit more pininess is coming into it, and there's grapefruit and that sort of, and those sort of aromas. It smells good, but I still think the Citra's got a better smell. Let's see what it tastes like. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, I mean, that tastes great. Lemons, limes, nice sort of twang of sort of sweet, zesty grapefruit really on the back end. Really refreshing. It's, you know, obviously being Polly's, it's got a really nice sort of silky body. It's not as heavy as an IPA, but it's not as light as a lot of pale ales. It's not overly carved. It's just, I mean, it's spot on really. I mean, if you like Citra hops, which I do, and you want some, and it's one of those sort of beers where a Citra hop is one of those sort of hops where it just works really well on its own. It's one of those, I think it's one that certainly, you know, springs to mind. I mean, Nelson Sauvin, yeah, that works well on its own, but Citra just got so much of that sort of zest. Sometimes you get more tropicalness coming in, but I wouldn't say there's much in terms of tropical. Maybe a bit of mango. It's smooth. It goes down really well. That's a really cracking pale ale. Really good. So now the Strata one. A lot of people like this one. I think it's just because it's got all that sort of, I mean, also it has more characteristics. It is used, I think, in sort of West Coast and sort of non-New England type of beers. But it's used in New England as well, but usually with lots of other things. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Let's see what it tastes like. Cheers. quite different, that. And it's quite different in lots of ways. Firstly, you get more sort of orange and passion fruit, and it sort of doesn't, it's not as smooth as the Citra one. You'd expect them to be exactly the same in terms of mouthfeel, just with different hops. But there's something about this that it's lighter. There's a little bit more prickly carbonation in it. It's strange because it's a very different beer. I thought they'd be quite similar, but it's very different. Flavour-wise, yeah, I mean, like the aroma, but you get more orange and a sort of passion fruit flavours in this compared to the sort of very bright citrus fruits. And then that sort of, you get a little bit of earthiness. It's very, there's a nice flavour in there. And then when it comes into the grapefruit, it's a lot sharper. It's almost a bit more of sort of a slight pininess coming in, slight bitterness as well. It's a little bit more, what would I say? You could almost say it's a little bit more complex. I just say the earthiness and the fizziness. It's almost like more like a traditional pale ale in terms of its mouthfeel. It's lighter, it's a little bit more fizzier. Well, when I look at this, when I taste the Citra one, something much more smoother to it. Which, you know, I could probably understand that if I'm comparing a Polly's pale ale, Citra pale ale with, say, I don't know, a Daya Strata pale ale. You know, there's going to be differences in terms of the whole thing, but my understanding of this is that they're pretty much made exactly the same, but just different hops. So I'm quite surprised that the Strata one has made a different mouthfeel, almost a very different sort of complexity to the beer than the Citra one. I've got to admit, straight up, the Citra one is definitely my preference. If I saw these again, I would definitely get the Citra one. I think it's a really cracking beer. But then I am a big fan of Citra only hopped beers. But the one that springs to mind is probably the Arbor Sea Bomb. That's very good, and it's similar. And there was another one that was a Citra only one. Oh, it was a nip. I think it was a New England IPA Junior that was salt. I'm sure that was Citra only. They were good pale ales, actually. But this Strata, I'm trying to get my head around it. As soon as you taste it, you're getting this fizziness, which, you know, you don't get at all with the Citra one. I'm pouring it out, as you say, to me, that looks, I mean, it's, in my eyes here, it's more orange than it is in the camera. It's very much like a West Coast pale ale. So maybe it is a West Coast pale ale with Strata. This is an East Coast pale ale with Citra. That's the difference. You're getting a very big difference between these two beers. Let's hold them up. You can see the difference in terms of the colour and how they look. And definitely for me, the Citra wins. But I'm going to score each of them individually, and they'll be coming up after the break. And until then, hope you've enjoyed this double header of the two Pollys. Great cans as well, obviously with all the hops on there. I'm presuming that hops, whether they're Citra or Strata, look exactly the same, because these certainly do. But I don't know, let me know in the comments. Do hops look different, or do they look the same? I don't know. I've never actually felt or touched or smelt a real sort of hop, freshly sort of picked, as it were. I'm rambling on now. I want to drink and enjoy these beers. So, scores coming up after the break. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Please like the video, give it a thumbs up. Really helps the channel, really helps the sort of YouTube algorithm get seen by more people. I really want more people to see them. And certainly when it comes to Pollys, I want more people to see them, because I think they're really cracking, a really cracking brewery, great can artwork, and consistently good, if not great, beers. So, that's enough for me. Keep on rocking, and I'll see you in the next vid. Okay, the scores are in for Citra versus Strata. These are both single hop pale ales with those hops that I've mentioned, Citra and Strata. Both 4.4, 5.4%, both from Pollys. Let's get those scores. So, starting off with aroma. Appearance. flavour, value for money, overall experience, and the total score for Citra, and the total score for Strata.